Hello, beautiful people, and genuine welcome to our guys, gals, and non-binary pals. This is Aisha Smith. I'm with United Ways Mission Families, and I and our guests are so happy to have you joining us. So this is our first live stream conversation, and we titled it A Shared Space for Meaning and Discussion in Complex Times, which they certainly are on every single level. So we ask you to engage with us. You can engage with me, you can engage with our guests and each other via our Facebook chat or YouTube. We can see and we will be sharing them. And we want to hear your questions and your comments, and we want to hear your thoughts, your concerns, how you're doing, and also how we can support you, because we have a lot of resources on the call today. And then don't forget, which you might not know, we have a discovery challenge. So please email me or chat us and we can send it to you. The Discovery Challenge is a way for you to learn more about our communities, our families, our children, and our youth. And then we're going to be holding a drawing for 4 one-way Southwest airline tickets to be used probably sometime in the future, but they don't expire relatively soon. So without further ado, let's meet our guests. So hello, everyone. Donna, do you want to start us off and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So my name is Donna Lucero. I am one of the clinical directors at All Faith Children Advocacy Center. I oversee our high fidelity wraparound program, care coordination, and I also am the director of our training institute. So I provide training around the state. Everything's virtual now, but around the state, out of state, in regards to trauma and the impact of trauma on our kids and our families in our community. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you. You're muted.
So thank you. Yes, thank you, Donna. So I've had the privilege of working with All Faiths in so many capacities in my nonprofit work, and I admire your organization so much. So thank you for taking time to join us today. Jerry, do you mind going next and introducing us to you and your work?
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Katzerman. I'm an attorney with Pegasus Legal Services for Children. And for those of you who may not know Pegasus, we are a nonprofit public interest law firm dedicated to advancing the rights of children and youth throughout New Mexico. I am the education director, so my focus is really on improving educational outcomes for children.
So important, and I know a lot of our causes are rooted in the same core issues. Thank you for joining us, Jerry. Tracy, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me as well. I'm Tracy Weaver. I am the executive director at Serenum, which is a local nonprofit who works with families experiencing homelessness, and we provide housing, opportunities for education, both life skills and vocational and academic education, as well as a whole wraparound services with community support and social capital. So we're ending poverty and homelessness in families. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, friend Rochelle. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, yes, thank you. Good afternoon. And I'm thankful to be here with everyone today. And I am a Chopra certified teacher, and what I love to do is teach meditation, yoga, and Ayurvedic lifestyle. And it's my hope and passion to help instill and teach people to find the power within themselves to heal and transform in whatever ways that's needed for them and right for them today in this moment. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So everyone, Sandra's my boss. So let's meet Sandra. So she is our senior director of mission families at United Way. So Sandra, would you like to introduce yourself? Even though I already have.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra Slivan, and I'm excited to be here and excited to be in this new forum and format. And yes, I'm the Senior Director of Community Impact for United Way's Mission Families. And Mission Families is the family stability component of United Way's impact agenda. Community impact agenda. Aisha, you want me to tell folks a little bit more about Mission Families? Or
Please.
not yet?
Well, no, share with us because that's what's bringing us here. So instead of, so the new format, instead of doing like a baseline data report share, we're doing this so people can see our community partners, right? So go ahead and give us a synopsis, please. Thank you.
So as I said, Mission Families is the stability component of our United Way's community impact agenda. The other piece of that is Mission Graduate, which is about educational attainment. And so we have 3 direct services housed under the Mission Families umbrella. One is 211, which is a resources and information line. So if people need human services, please call 211 and we will connect you with local community partners who can help meet your needs. We also have the Family Advocacy Center, which is a centralized location for victims of domestic and interpersonal violence. So if you need support with that, please contact the Family Advocacy Center. And a third direct service that we have is Tax Help New Mexico, which does tax preparation for New Mexico households that are earning $56,000 or less in a tax season. In addition to that, what Mission Families is really all about is family stability. And what family stability is contingent upon is resources. We need to make sure that all of the families have the resources that they need to support themselves and their children where and when they need them. So we're about connecting families with resources. And so we do that in the 4-county area that we serve by convening partners and identifying what United Way's role and Mission Families' role could be to help support the work that's already going on. We also have been providing trauma-informed practice training for out-of-school time providers and early child care providers so that we can meet families and children where they are. And that's especially important right now in the context of COVID-19 because pretty much everyone that is human is experiencing some form of trauma. And so it's important to know the appropriate techniques and strategies to use when trying to serve people. And we're also embarking on engaging families directly with our work because we want family voice represented in everything that Mission Families does. We have a set of family engagement principles that we put together to guide ourselves in our work. And the core principle is not about us without us. And so we're really looking forward to having families partner with us hand in hand, arm in arm, or Zoom and Zoom as we move our work forward. That's a little snapshot of what we're up to.
Thank you. You said Zoom and Zoom, and I was all no more Zoom. So much Zoom, right? But at least we have a way to connect, and that is good for us. So I think I wanted to point out that, my title is Director of Collective Impact, and I told Sandra when we first started talking about this job that I truly believe there is no one entity that can solve the problems of our communities. So I appreciate us working together to really support our communities, which is in so much need. And it's all been exacerbated with the pandemic. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. So my first question, to kind of get the conversation forward, what does change mean to you? And in addition to that, what does societal change mean to you? Are they the same or do you see them differently? Tracy, do you want to start us off? Oh, you're on mute. Tracy, you're on mute. Thank you.
I'm still not used to unmuting myself. I think the change to me is more about a kind of interpersonal change or those that we are around. And so who can I affect in my circles or in my environment or in my work or in my community? And that's really deep kind of level personal change. So at Serenum, we are completely transforming lives of the families that we work with on a really personal level. So it's a parental relationship. It's a relationship with a neighbor and a friend or a classmate. It's how they're learning about who they are and how they operate in the world, and making good decisions about their lives, and making changes that are going to be lasting for generations. But societal change is really much bigger than that, of course, because then it's how all of these individuals can come and impact a large group, or a large community, or a large region or state or country, or our world. And those are, I think, what you just said, that's the collective impact of all of the smaller pieces or people or organizations that can all come together and have a piece of that bigger change, that bigger piece of the change. So, but yeah, we can all do our own part, but we can't do it all. We all have to work together to make that societal change happen.
Jerry, what do you think about change and then societal change? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think the thing about change is that it is constant. And the question is it change for the better or change for the worse? And, I view myself personally as a lawyer in the social justice movement. And so really trying to always maintain that focus of moving the ball forward, trying to create social change. And for me personally, I believe that my goal in my work and in my life is really to look at the systemic racism in our society and to do my part personally and professionally to try and dismantle that.
Super important. And I think we've chatted before in our conversations about how all of our work kind of stems from the same core issues, right? The systemic issues. Donna, what does change mean to you, and how do you feel about that versus societal change?
Sure, thank you. It's kind of the along the lines of what my colleagues are saying here. And I think when I think of change, I often just really think of the word transformation. And when you think of transformation, it's not sudden, it's a process, and it's painful oftentimes, and a struggle oftentimes. And that's where real change and real transformation happens. And I always really think about things from like a trauma perspective. It's kind of what I'm immersed in every day. But when we think about change or transformation in the context of trauma, I like to talk about it in regards to integration, right? When you think about trauma, we can't take away bad things that have happened to people. We can't erase them. But what we can help people do is help to integrate them, to make sense out of what's happened to them. And not in like acceptance, not like it's all okay what happened to me, but to make sense out of it. And that's where resilience comes from. And through that resilience, then you have transformation, then you have change. And all of that really is on an individual person by person perspective, right? That's what I think, that's the way change really happens. It's these individual people, small groups, agencies, organizations, and then you get societal change. But that's way up here. We're kind of boots on the ground, right? We're all in the middle of this, and we're working with people that are in the middle of this. So for me, it's about integration and how people make sense out of their experiences, how we help them make sense out of their experiences, how we make sense out of our own experiences, and then move forward in this slow, steady progression towards transformation, whatever that looks like for each particular person.
Thank you. I'm probably going to be thinking about what you just said for a little while. That was pretty profound. Trying to make sense of where we are now too, right?
Right. Right.
Yes. Rochelle, what does change mean to you, and what does societal change mean to you?
Yes, so I'm loving what everyone has said so far. It's in congruence with everything that I think about in terms of change. And when I think about change, I think about what it means, in terms of my world of meditation and yoga, and change, like I think Jerry said, is inevitable. It's part of life. It's one of the only constants. It's one thing that we can always depend on is there will always be change. Without change, we don't grow. Change is never easy. We gripe about it. We complain. It puts us into this place of discomfort. So when I'm teaching the tools that I teach, it's about helping to process, integrate everything that's going on in order to change first starts with us, right? It starts with just working on this, getting this into a place of equanimity so that we can step up and be able to help our family, our communities in a way from a place of empowerment. You know, no one can help others from a place of depletion. And that's just a fact. And so change for me means first starting with ourselves. And when we are strong, when we can come from a place of love and compassion, we can share that with others. And it becomes this ripple effect that just ripples out just naturally. That's just how nature works. And so that kind of just falls into societal as well, is, you know, just first starting with ourselves, getting our place into a place of congruence, and then having that just ripple out into society. So that's my version of what that means to me.
Thank you. Sandra, what do you think about change?
I think it's hard to talk last. We have a lot of profound insight in this group. Thank you all. Yeah, the word transformation really does resonate with me. And I think that change is, I agree, it is a constant. That's from my experience, my lived experience. And I think that somehow I grew up with a myth or an idea that I was supposed to be comfortable. And it's like, I don't know that I think that was a misbelief of mine. And so I'm becoming accustomed to discomfort. I'm not comfortable when I do my sit-ups, but it makes me feel good afterward. So it begins with me. Change begins with me, like Rochelle said. And so what I think about is what's the lens I'm viewing the world through. And so what I try to practice is non-judgment, because I want to take down any barriers between myself and others, my organization and others. Because if I can make a heart connection, I feel like then we, with our hearts connected, can then continue on this path toward transformative change. The non-judgment lens is really important, I think, in the context of working with families. I'm a former public educator as well. And if I'm judging, I cannot help. I cannot connect. I need to meet people where they are, find out what's going on, not ask what's wrong, ask what's going on. And then we can put together some sort of plan to move people to the place that they might like to be. And collectively, we can do amazing things. And that's sort of my philosophy on change. We all have to change. I think COVID is showing us how nimble and adaptable we are as humans. And so in a strange way, it's a bit of a gift because we've adapted in a lot of ways. And so I appreciate that is being highlighted right now. And I also appreciate how tough it is on so many. And I want to do what I can with everyone in this room and collectively in our community to make an impact on people who are experiencing really trying situations right now.
Indeed. Talking about discomfort, the new stasis, right? The uncertain discomfort. It's kind of what we're dealing with, I think, everybody. So I guess we can all look at it as an opportunity for tremendous growth, right? And change, and look at it in that way, or not, or we could make other choices, but hopefully most of us look at it that way. And so, Sandra, you kind of gave us a lead in, so I'm going to make you start on this one with your discussion of family, so you won't be last. But in your own life experience, which is much more than just United Way, but your current work, what do you think will amplify the voices of our families in all of the different communities that will make in the most meaningful way? What would be a meaningful way for that to happen? Oh, you're muted, Sandra.
How can we amplify family voices in our work? There's a lot of ways.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
In a meaningful way. First of all, I think the most important thing is to engage family voice and hear family voice. Not about us without us. So in my personal experience, it's important to have whoever is going to be affected by the work engaged in the work. And so one of my goals with Mission Families is to have that family voice represented on an ongoing basis. and not in, I don't want it to be tokenizing or tokenism. I want people to know that they are heard, to know that they are valued, and they have an enormous depth of wisdom to bring into the conversation and bring in to present ideas for solutions. That said, I know that we have a lot of systemic barriers that have been built over decades and centuries. And so it's going to take some time and perseverance to dismantle those. I'm committed to doing that. I believe that if we paired every child in K-12 education with one adult in a constructive, positive relationship over the 12 years that they were in public education, if we did that for 12 years with everyone, I think that we could make a big dent in ending poverty. And I think we could also really mitigate the effect of ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, that children may have experienced, and really stem the tide on some of these intense social issues that we're experiencing. But we have to recognize the role systems play, and we have to work collectively to take care of it. And I think we need to work as peers. So families are my peers. I'm not the expert. I'm not the lived experience expert. I am in my own set of situations and circumstances, but that's it.
Thank you. Rochelle, what in your own personal experience in your work, what do you think would amplify the voices of our families in a meaningful way?
I think, just from my humble experience, in general, one, you must always provide a place of safety. And this is just in any world, in any capacity, is just first how to make people safe, whatever that means. For me, when I'm starting a class of any sort, it's the space, it's the building rapport. And so that could be applied, to in general. And then also and this is starting to happen now, is especially when I was growing up, I always felt more comfortable when I saw other people like myself kind of involved in helping me out, other Native Americans or other brown people in the room. I felt, and it just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable in order to be heard and valued, and know that whatever I was going to say would be accepted, listened to, and that's one of the things. And another important thing there is just being able to provide a place just to listen. It's very valuable. So that's just my little humble 2 bits about that.
Thank you. Tracy, what are your thoughts? Oh, you're on mute too. Sorry.
Did it again. I agree. First you have to provide that safe space, and that foundation of safety and security, and kind of people's needs being met, their physical needs being met, gives them the opportunity to kind of move out of their emergency kind of crisis and into being able to be the experts for themselves. In Suriname, our families are the experts on their families. And we start with them at that point. And that listening, in order to have a voice, you have to have somebody who's listening. And so building that safe place where we have a community, or we have one-on-one of listeners to validate and to encourage and really eventually empower the family to feel that that's theirs. And if I can do it, so can you. And we encourage each other. And then, we have that support in the room with us. And then in order to kind of make that voice be bigger, then we have to provide those opportunities for families to have beyond their family kind of conversations. Like At Serenum, we do a lot of process evaluation. Like, what did you think about what we did? How can we be better? You know, how could you get involved in different ways? And in Serenum, or in your community, or your child's school, or your, volunteering for what you are passionate about. How do you get involved? It's again back to that engagement and involvement. And then when people have the experience, then they are more apt to let their voice be heard, I think, too. They starting with kind of that interpersonal safety, and then building on that. It's kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As your needs are kind of met, you're better able to speak your voice. And at Serenum, we have opportunities all the way to our board level for families in our program, because like Sandra says, we can't do what we do best without having the voice of the people we're working with. And, if we're doing something that we need to change, who's going to know best than somebody who's been there? And we have to hear that. And then it's maybe up to us at the kind of the organizational levels to say, hey, I've got a really great story, and putting that story out there about our families. We can provide the platform for families' voices to be heard. United Way is a great platform for families' voices to be heard, both in strategy as well as in just, providing supports. And then I think it becomes kind of that bigger societal kind of voice, but it's kind of incremental and it builds on itself, but it has to start, like Rochelle said, with just providing a place of safety.
Thank you. I really am a firm believer in the power of storytelling, because just in my experience, you can have a lot of statistics and data, and a lot of people are interested in that, but the power of someone's personal experience is unbeatable into drawing people into the importance of the work that we all do, and empowering them and providing basic needs and safety. Donna, what do you think about amplifying families' voices in a meaningful way?
Thanks. So I agree. As my colleagues are talking, I'm like, yes. I think, safety and relationship are hugely important. We know that relationship is potentially a buffer to adversity. So those two things, in regulation, safety, those are all super important. And I kind of just as I springboard from my colleagues, I would invite everyone to consider that my thought is it's not necessarily about amplifying the voices of the kids and families we serve. That puts the responsibility on them. It's about us listening. And it's about us listening, not when they speak louder, but us listening with a different ear, an empathic ear, an understanding ear, an ear that is open to being uncomfortable, an ear that is open to hearing what we don't want to hear, right? We like hearing, oh, you're doing a great job and I appreciate all this, and right, but we're not so open when it's not something that we're comfortable with, or when it's not something that we expect, right? That's what we really need to do, I think, is listen with a different ear, and just being open to that. And I think our families are complex, and they have so many intersections of their experience. I mean, you have trauma, you have poverty, you have fatherlessness, you have homelessness, you have resource insecurity, you have, substance abuse. I mean, you name it. And it's all these intersections on their experience. And I think the power of their story is where it's at. We need to listen to the story. We need to listen better as what we need. We think we know what they need, but that's probably not really what they need. So listening from a different ear with that level of empathy and understanding, and not really making it so that they have to speak louder, but that we need to listen better. So that's my thought about that.
I really appreciate that, because I've been trying to focus on asking the right questions, or better questions. And I really appreciate that feedback, because that is going to give me a lot to think about. And I think you're absolutely right, because a lot of them are already speaking, right? They already have their voices. You're right. Jerry, what do you think about this? What are your experiences?
I think the most successful efforts that I've seen have been the grassroots efforts that start, parent to parent, and they really have this grassroots beginning. It starts with parents talking to each other over coffee, to joining a support group or creating a support group, to then becoming advocates. And my role in that progression is to support and nurture and then get out of the way. And so in terms of assisting families to amplify their voices, that's what I see as my role, is to really just foster the connection. But it's powerful to see families come together. And I mean, I have been, and maybe all of us have, I have seen parents propose legislation, present their legislation, tell their stories to the legislators. And that is far more effective than anything I can do on my side of the bar. So again, I think that's what I'm open to learning about other ways to do it. But what I have seen really work have been these grassroots connection that leads to successful advocacy.
Thank you. Thank you all. That was profound. So kind of moving forward, in this space where it is a live stream, so we know some are watching, but we don't know who will see eventually. What do you want our community to know? So that I'm saying community in a very large general word. So donors, leadership, people that I would say boots on the ground. I like that term too, Donna. In any aspect, what do you want to share today? So I'll go backwards. Tracy, do you want to start? Or will you, even if you don't want to?
Let me think. There's so many things that are going on right now. We've got such, and Donna, I really appreciate you bringing in the trauma. There's so much just inherent grief that everyone in our community, no matter what, is going through, whether it's due to the lack of resources or the having kids at home, or for school being out, or not being able to see each other in person, or whatever that is. And it's just to know that it's really hard on everyone, and know that we're going to have a lot of healing to do, even if and when we are able to come back together. We are still going to have a lot of healing to do and repair work, and we'll be changed. We won't be back doing the same things that we've been doing. And so I think, some creative, collective conversations, ways that we might be able to keep some things that have been working better, if we can be creative about figuring out what that looks like. But to the community and leadership and viewership here, just be kind to yourself and others. That there are numerous people here to support you and each other, and find the ways that we can be supportive and grateful, that we can stay connected, even if we're not connected in person like we want to be. And just, hang in there and be patient with yourself and with each other, and help us all, find the resources that we all need.
Thank you. No, that got to me, because I was thinking, I hear, everyone has different interpretations, right, of where we are and where we'll be. And I think there's a lot of hope involved, but also as we move deeper into this, there's also a lot of hardship, right, to move through it. So thank you for those words, Tracy. Rochelle, what do you want people to know? Any peoples?
Well, what I've noticed, especially in the past few years of, teaching meditation and practicing yoga, and not too long ago, you say meditation and people say, oh, it's woo-woo, it's woo-woo. No. But now, that's starting to shift, especially with their young people. Our young people are so more open and so more willing to, try these different, in terms of spirituality, whatever that means to you. And I'm really just amazed at how much they're just willing to just take in and learn and create kind of a shift in everyday life, and how they view it, and how they view their food, how they view relationships and communication. And I think, just really just tapping into that. And, now when I talk about meditation, people are thinking, oh, cool. Can you teach me? So just preventative, and starting to utilize. There's a lot more. There's so many tools out there, and just starting to pay attention to what's coming up. And I think the world of yoga and meditation is starting to become a lot more precedent and more valuable, especially right now when people need something that they can just do at home, and starting to pay attention to incorporating those kind of aspects in addition to what people are already doing in terms of, healing the physical, the mind, the body. Those are all, things that we need in order to function as human beings. And we focus so much on just physical. We've forgotten to tap into also our spiritual and emotional. We weren't taught how to process our emotions, and people are experiencing that now, being stuck at home and not, knowing how to release anger, frustration. Instead it just stays in us, and it becomes builds and becomes resistant, or becomes resentment and anger. And so starting to pay attention to how we can really help the mental aspects of what's going on now, channel funding into that, bringing in people. There's a lot of people like myself that teach this, that are just floating around out there, and just starting to just notice that, bring awareness around that, and how it could really benefit people with what they're going through right now.
Thank you. Jerry, what do you want people to know?
Okay. Well, my message is really straightforward. At Pegasus, we are here to serve, and our virtual doors are open, and we exist to help. And our mission is to support families, to create stable home environments, to obtain quality educational services. And just because COVID is happening, our commitment to our families is not lessened. So just know that we are here, and to please reach out to us if we can be of assistance.
Thank you. Sandra, what do you want to share? What do you want people to know?
I want people to know, if they don't already, that our New Mexico families are resilient and strong. I want people to know that, if they don't already, it takes a village. It takes all of us. And I believe that we will do better when we take care of each other. And that's really important to me. That's why working with Mission Families works for me, because it's a collective. And so collectively we're doing things. And I want people to know that they matter. You matter. We care about you. And even if times are tough, hang on. Because as a human being, when Rochelle was talking about emotions, I think about myself. It's a constant, it's change. So it may look terrible today, and then tomorrow it'll look better. Maybe someone will smile at me and it'll just light up my world. And so I would ask people to, like, I think it was Tracy who said, be kind. So be kind to ourselves, be kind to each other, and take time to breathe, going back to what Rochelle said too. It's not easy right now. It's probably never easy. Right now it's highlighting how challenging and complex life can be. And it's also highlighting to me how important it is, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, if my basic needs are met, I can do all sorts of things. If they are not, it's going to be really tough for me to focus on schoolwork, or to apply for a job, or to figure out my taxes, because I don't have the bandwidth. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to sleep tonight. And so I think it's really important that collectively we come together as a village and assure that we do everything we can to make sure families and children's basic needs are met, so that they can realize whatever dreams it is that they have, and move from basically surviving to thriving. And that's what I want. That's what I want to see. And I think we can do it. So let's come together and do it.
Yeah, we have good people working on it. Donna, what do you want to share?
Thank you. So I wanted folks to know, the community to know, that All Faiths is strong. We've been in the community for 65 years serving kids and families who've experienced trauma. That's what we do. That's our area of specialty. And amidst COVID, we shifted gears on the drop of a dime from a Monday to a Friday and completely shifted our way of practice. And I am so proud and deep in my heart about the work we do at All Faiths. I am proud to be a part of the organization. It's my home. I'm so proud of our staff who are just relentless. They are relentless. And I want folks to know that. And I want folks to know that they are relentless, but it's taking its toll. It is really hard. Our staff are struggling. They are doing trauma work in the first place. And then we have this whole other added layer, which makes us feel helpless sometimes. There's only so much you can do in a digital format. There's so many, there's just so much. So we are really making, and we always have, but even more so, a conscious effort to really try and take care of our staff. We need them, just like our frontline workers, it's the same idea. Mental health issues are even on different levels now under our current circumstances. So it's just layer after layer that our staff are dealing with. And we are going to weather this. We will make it through. I feel very confident as a community and as All Faiths, our organization. We will make it through this, and we will continue to support families in their healing, in their integration, in their transformation as we transform as an agency into whatever that's going to look like when we get to the other side of this. I think Tracy was talking about it. It's going to look different on the other side. And, it is what it is. And maybe that's part of our own transformation as a world and as a community when we come to the other side of this. So I'm rambling a little bit, but there's so much kind of emotion around all of that in the work that we do, and the kids and families that we serve are our number one priority and always have been.
It's really important, Donna. So the rambling is much appreciated because I know that I personally am incredibly worried about the mental health crisis that I see impending in youth and children and community support workers. It has, I think the pandemic has exacerbated all of the systemic issues that already existed. And, in my own opinion, we were, as a country, kind of slapping Band-Aids on some pretty severe systemic issues. So we're going to have to deal with it, and it's going to be really rough. But if we face it head on, we can do it. And that's why I invited Rochelle, because I do want to end today. So this is not the end, but I'm going to ask one more question, and then Rochelle's going to guide us through and give us some advice, because we need to take care of ourselves to take care of each other and support our communities. And if we don't, we won't have very quality support to offer, So the next question is, how does data drive your work? So how do you use that to inform your practices and your organizations and your work? Donna, do you mind starting us off since we just left you? How does
Sure. No problem. Of course, you leave me the data topic. I'm clinical. I'm not data, right? That's what the card I usually play. I'm like, I don't get it. I can't do it. I'm not data. I'm clinical. But joking aside, I think data is important. It really is. And not necessarily numbers and stats, but for me, it's stories. I think you were speaking to that earlier in terms of the story. That is where we can make changes, where we can hear their voices, where we can transform our systems, right? That's the kind of data that I'm most interested in. Numbers are important, dollars are important. Yeah, I get all that. But the story is even more important, and the experience of the lives of the kids and families that we work with, and the lives of our staff, right? That's important too. Those that are working with the kids and the families. So I think it drives our work for sure. I mean, it has to, in the nature of our current society. Data drives our work. But when rubber meets the road, it really comes down to the stories and the experience that drive how we roll, our philosophy, our approach. All of that is directed by the needs of those that we're serving and the needs of our staff, for sure.
I tend to side with you. I have to work with data, and I appreciate it, but I personally seem to value the story, more than the numbers and the statistics, even though I agree they're very important to work together, to accomplish and to record. the work we do. Tracy, how do you use data in your work?
You know, we have a lot of data. We've got people too. And, you know, the data drives what we do in the fact that, you know, we really look to kind of models that are research-based. You know, we're working with a 2-generational approach. We are really aware of the ACEs, the adverse childhood events that Sandra mentioned, and using trauma-informed care practices so that we don't re-traumatize or traumatize ourselves or any other way that, you know, when we're working with our families. And so we're really working on building all of that resilience within our families, within our staff, within the community, just overall. But, you know, we've got a lot of numbers and we've got a lot of measures of success, and we've got a lot of alumni that have stories even beyond when they were in our program. And we have been working really hard the last 3 years to be very clear about how we define success and how that differs from a lot of other agencies that are serving the population experiencing homelessness, and that our outcomes are really long-term and generational, that our data is showing that our families are exiting stable, but our longitudinal work with our alumni are showing that our families are now buying houses, that they're getting promotions at their jobs, that their children are graduating college. They're the second generation to have post-secondary education, that that we are making a generational impact. And so the data shows us these things, and then we know the people behind the data so that we can use the data to then tell the story of it starts with a family coming in homeless, and we start building those relationships, providing the safety. We've mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs several times. You know, we provide the things that they need to live so that they can work on themselves and their family and their employment and their education. And when they leave us, they have the agency within themselves to take care of their family, and their family knows that their kids have learned all of these skills as well. But then the data, you know, gives us those exit statistics, but then they move out and they're paying their own rent and they're doing their own jobs and they're then buying their own houses and they're building their assets through another partnership that we have with other organizations. Our alumni are giving us data over 10, 15 years that is showing our families are just like us. They end up being just like us. We're just part of Albuquerque or wherever they move off to. And so the story behind the data is, you know, the child that came in terrified and off the wall behavior learned to read and became a leader in his kindergarten class and is now, you know, in 5th grade, and he has a dog at home and he, you know, is class president. You know, that, you know, his mom graduated and got her nursing degree and is doing very well and is very busy right now in the healthcare system and is one of our frontline workers. And we really owe it to her. And our data is showing that, you know, they are stable and that they are doing what they need to do to make sure that they're surviving this pandemic too. And so the data tells us what we're doing is effective and impactful. Or sometimes it says that what didn't work and we adjust and we shift. But it ends up being our story, and the story is rooted in our people.
Thank you. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter, Tracy.
Just check our website and join us up.
Rochelle, how do you use data in your work and how does it drive what you do?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. I mean, I don't really work with data, but I was thinking about just my fellow other teachers and friends and what they've noticed. And also the company that I work with is right now, people are very willing, they're realizing the importance of self-care. So for example, right now, the teacher training that I'm helping to support right now through the company I work with called Chopra, we have 300 people signed up for this teacher training program for meditation. So right now with the way things are happening, I think it's because of COVID. I think it's because people are stuck in the homes. People are needing some coping mechanisms that a lot more people are starting to gravitate towards practices, wellness practices, whether it be meditation or eating better or just taking care of themselves. There's that definite trend for that. And people are willing to spend the money for that too. It's pretty amazing. And so that just tells me that it motivates me as a teacher to know that, what I have to share is really important, I think, right now. And the data shows that, because people are definitely, starting to take these teacher trainings and find coaches to work with. It's out there. People are interested, and it makes me excited for future generations, because what we do now today affects the future, right? So if this is happening today, can you imagine what it's going to mean for our future generations? The fact that we're taking this time to really work on ourselves, and what that can mean for the future, and ability to affect change and lead happier lives. That's all we really want, human beings, is to love and be loved and to be happy. Those are our basic needs, in addition to other stuff, but just like our core, that's what we want. And that's kind of where we're going towards, I think, even though right now it doesn't seem like it or feel like it, but I think that's kind of where it's heading, I hope. And I truly believe that. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Jerry, how do you use data in your work? Which I imagine there's quite a bit of it.
Well, I am both reliant upon and grateful to the data that's collected around the education of children, and particularly around issues involving disciplinary removal. Because I can look at that data and I can take it to a school system, and it is a mirror on conduct. And so often people don't even realize, because of their inherent biases, what's been happening in a school system until you show them those cold, hard numbers. When we can say that 80% of children who were removed for disciplinary reasons are children of color, and another 80% of that group have been removed for vague misconduct, for offenses like disruption or disrespect that are not defined and are not used against their white peers. Oftentimes that is telling enough, because so many times we're not even aware of our own biases. And so I just find data to be a mirror into our conduct, and I couldn't work without it. My only complaint is that it's usually a year or two behind. It's the lag that I have to deal with. But the federal government has been collecting that data. We've seen so much improvement in those areas.
Thank you. You hit on a lot in that short share, but thank you, because I think we're doing a lot of work with diversity, equity, inclusion internally in United Way, and trying to move that out into the community and support it, because it impacts every single level for our communities and our kids, and then the multi-generational impact. So thank you. Sandra, do you want to close? I left you at the end again. My apologies. Do you want to close us out on how we use data before we move to our mindfulness section, Michelle?
Absolutely. Data is vital. It forms the foundation of what we do, like our baseline data report. And so it provides a snapshot in time. It shows us where we are and points to where we might go. And then we can use the data to show where we've been, what worked, how we got there, to take a look back in time. And so I'm excited because collectively we're gonna make an impact, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. With each person on this call talking, the impact that you are having and your organizations are having is probably immeasurable in many ways. And then when we put us all together and work as a team, in addition to all that work, the possibilities are endless. And so I'm really excited to see where it goes. One of my hopes is that with our Mission Families work, we can come up with some shared metrics that United Way would like to look at in terms of measuring family stability and resilience that would help Suriname and everybody else. And so I'd like to see if we could come up with some shared data that would be beneficial to the wider community so that we could share it and see where we are, see where we want to go, and decide how we want to get there and make sure that families are part of that discussion.
Sounds like collective impact to me, Sandra. So we're going to close. Rochelle's going to kind of end with what I asked her to help with us with some mindfulness, self-care, and a wellness share, because I think that I wanted to end that on this for us as people who work in community support, for our viewers, and for anyone who might see this in the future, because we need it and we need to take care of ourselves first so that ripple effect goes out from us, so we can each have an impact in the way that we want to. So Rochelle, and I want to thank everybody so much. So Rochelle, you are on.
Okay, thank you. So what I usually like to do is just teach a quick breathing technique. Breathing is one of the most important tools that we have in our toolbox that we are not aware of. A lot of us aren't aware of. And but if you notice, when you become stressed, your breathing can become shallow. But when you feel relaxed, if you see a baby, watch how they breathe, and their belly goes up, their belly goes down. Nice deep belly breaths, and that's what we want. But of course, as we become adults and we become stressed, it begins to affect how we breathe. So by manipulating your breath, you can also manipulate how you feel in a particular moment. So a quick breathing technique that I will teach you all to begin. And I also want to mention the importance of ritual. So we all have our rituals, especially in the mornings. We get up, we use the restroom, we brush our teeth, we go about our day, right? So that's something we do every single day. So if you want to bring in a new habit, a new technique into your life, you want to attach it to something you already do. Otherwise, you will forget about it, or you will just, it's okay, never mind, I'll do it tomorrow. So maybe you just start doing something, attach it to your morning practice, and see how it begins to kind of shift your life. So for me, the one I usually teach is called the Coherence Breath, and it follows a ratio of breathing in and breathing out. So you would breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, and then breathe out through your nose for 6 counts. And there's no particular pace, just begin to notice, just noticing how you're breathing. And just noticing when you're relaxed, it's easy, it's just nice, it flows. But when you're stressed, you almost have to think about it and almost kind of force it a little bit. So if you want to go ahead and just close your eyes, and just kind of take just a couple deep breaths, just whatever feels good right now. You can sigh, whatever feels good. And now go ahead, I'll guide you through. Just breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just continue to do it, breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 6. Just bring in awareness to your breath. And if thoughts come into your mind, that's okay. We're human. And you find it a little bit difficult to breathe out for 6, just whatever you can do right now. It's always about comfort and what you can do. do one more round. Breathing in for 4. And breathing out for 6. And then you can resume your normal breathing. And when you're ready, go ahead and gently open your eyes. How does everyone feel? Do you guys feel a little bit more calm?
Yes. I wish that you had done that with me in the beginning.
And that's literally all it takes. You know, it doesn't take much to shift your mental state and bring a sense of calm. And what I like about that particular breathing is you exhale longer than you're breathing in, because it signals to your nervous system that you're okay. You know, you're actually okay. Breathing out longer and then breathing in for 4. So, and you can shift that ratio. You can do it 8. You know, breathing in for 7, breathe out for 8, whatever feels comfortable for you. And the more you practice, the more you build up your lung capacity, and the more you can go into deeper breathing. So, and then, so that's, do I have time for one more, or is that it, Aisha?
Well, we are at an hour and 1 minute, so
Okay.
we can hang on if the guests do, and then the audience is there. Yeah, why don't we do one more, right? Do you guys have time to stay on for one more breathing exercise, or okay, so there you go. We have some time. Okay.
So this one's super quick, and it actually kind of uses a little mantra. And so say, you know, you're feeling overwhelmed and you're being pulled in all different directions. And then you say, 1 moment, please. And you go into the bathroom, wherever you can go, your car, wherever, and just closet, whatever you can find. And then what I like to do is just, you know, I like to put my hands on my chest, because it makes me kind of connect to my body, and just putting my hands on my chest. And you can do this with me too. So go ahead and close your eyes and put your hands on your chest, or not, whatever feels comfortable. And just begin to breathe. And when I feel stressed, I like to breathe in through my nose and exhale through my mouth. Breathe in through my nose and exhale through your mouth. And now, as you breathe in, you'll think silently to yourself, just. Breathe in, just. And exhale and think the word this. Breathe in and think just. Exhale, think this. Just. This. One more. Breathing in, just. Exhale, this. And then when you're ready, go ahead and gently open your eyes. So that one in particular, it uses the words just this. You could use any word. You could say, be calm, or whatever comes to mind. But just this just reminds me what's truly important. What do I need to focus on right now? What's valuable to me? What do I need to place value on in this particular moment? Just this, okay. You know, and it kind of recenters you. So then after, when you go back out into the world, you can feel a little bit more grounded and more at peace, and just know, okay, this is the direction I need to go. We're going to do this. So that's a quick little one you can do as well. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I found value in both of those, and I feel better already. So
Try this at home.
yes. I'm going to wrap us up. I want to say thank you. So before we go, I'm going to say my piece, and then I want Donna, if you don't mind sharing after I give my little thing, what you and Peggy Tafoya, your mantra, as our closing. So thank you to our guests. So I ask everyone to subscribe to our channels, and theirs as well, so that you can stay in contact with us. And there are resources. COVID didn't shut us all down, so we're all trying. We thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting our community, and we'll see you again soon. And Donna, will you take us out with what you shared with us earlier?
Sure. I was doing a training earlier this week, and we were talking about a lot about the COVID experience, and myself and a colleague came up with a little mantra, just brainstorming. And the mantra is, be safe, be kind, and hang on. So be safe, meaning let's keep ourselves and each other safe. Let's be kind to each other and to ourselves. And let's all hang on, because we will get to the other side. This too shall pass. So be safe, be kind, and hang on.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.